director with Beyond Plastics, and I'm just really going to present an overview of the plastics crisis and why it matters and how it affects all of us and what we can do to address it. Let's see, it's not forwarding for some reason. Oh, there we go. So when we talk about the plastics crisis, we're really talking about how much plastic has taken over our world. So it started around 1950, and since then, plastic production has exploded. So since the 1950s, our population has tripled, but plastic production has increased by about 230 times. And we have produced almost 10 billion tons of plastic. So the problem is that all of this plastic still exists in some form of pollution. So it may be floating in the ocean, piling up in our landfills, or breaking down into microplastics that move through the environment. So the good news, if there is any, is that it's a relatively new problem. Half of all the plastic has been produced in the last 15 to 20 years. So this is all happening in our lifetime. But it is a solvable problem. It's just going to take some political will and perseverance. And we know that we need to act now because the problem is growing. Plastic production is predicted to continue increasing at this pace, so it nearly doubles again by 2040. So you might ask, how did we get here? So plastic really started out as kind of a miracle material. It was cheap, lightweight, and incredibly durable. And production ramped up during World War II because plastic was extremely useful. Nylon replaced silk and parachutes, and uniforms shifted from wool to polyester and vinyl. And then after the war, the plastics industry needed new markets. So they pushed plastic into everyday home life. You can see here a Life magazine cover that actually celebrated the wonder of throwaway living. Wow. But then over time, this led to the misuse of plastic that we see today. So despite being designed to last, we use plastic for single-use disposable items. So in fact, plastic packaging now makes up the largest sector of plastic use at 40%. So where does all the plastic go? Well, we really don't have time to dig into each waste pathway, but here's the big picture. A large portion goes to landfills. Some is burned in incinerators, which brings its own environmental and health impacts. A significant amount is mismanaged, which means it becomes litter that can wind up in waterways, oceans, and in wildlife. We published a report estimating that the true recycling rate in the US has never entered double digits and is only at 5 to 6%. So you might think of your own home. So you might have a bright orange plastic soap detergent near your washing machine, a black plastic container in your refrigerator, and a plastic bag on your counter. So everything from material type, shape, size, and structure, like a layered chip bag, affects how plastic is recycled. So in order to be recycled, a facility has to separate everything. So this is exactly why recycling doesn't work for most plastics. Unlike glass or aluminum, which are single materials and can be recycled indefinitely, modern plastics are made with a mix of chemicals, colors, and additives, which makes them impossible to sort and recycle. And then no matter where the plastic is disposed of, it will eventually break up into tiny pieces called microplastics, which are a major part of understanding plastic pollution. So unlike food or paper, plastic won't break down and disappear. Instead, when plastic is exposed to sunlight, heat, or friction, like the waves in the ocean, it breaks up into smaller and smaller pieces slowly over time. And then these tiny fragments, anything smaller than 5 millimeters, are called microplastics. Some microplastics are intentionally made, like those tiny little beads used in face scrubs and toothpaste, but most come from larger plastic items that slowly break apart over time. And then because microplastics are so small, they can travel through the air, water, and soil. So that means we're breathing them in, drinking them, and even eating them. Scientists have found microplastics in some of the most remote places on Earth, from the top of Mount Everest to the deepest parts of the ocean. And then you might also hear the term nanoplastics. So these are simply the smallest end of the plastic spectrum in the nanoscale range and can be as small as a virus. So because they're so incredibly small, nanoplastics can be even more dangerous, traveling further and faster than larger particles. So they can reach places that microplastics can't, including being absorbed by plants and reaching the insides of our cells. Because microplastics are so widespread in our air, water, and food, it's not surprising that they're now being found inside of our bodies. So this diagram shows just how many parts of the body where microplastics have been found, everything from the brain, blood, heart, lungs, and kidneys. They've even been found in the placenta and breast milk, showing that exposure can begin very early in life. So while there's a lot of science coming out around microplastics, this is still a really new area of research. We don't have clear proof that microplastics directly cause disease. The evidence is still mostly correlational. However, the evidence that has been found so far is alarming scientists. And a major concern is that the microplastics act as carriers for the toxic chemicals that are found in plastics, which can leach out and potentially cause their own damage. So to understand why plastics pose risk to people and the environment, it really helps to understand and know what they're made of. So essentially, plastics are created using fossil fuels and chemicals. And every plastic contains a polymer backbone, which is a long chain of repeating molecules with a whole assortment of chemicals attached. There are more than 16,000 different chemicals that have been identified in plastics. So some of those help form the polymer backbone. Some are unintentional byproducts of the chemistry, and many are added intentionally to give plastics certain qualities. So the concerning part about this is that 25% of these chemicals are known to be hazardous to humans and the environment. And for 2/3 of them, there's no public data that exists. So this lack of transparency makes it difficult for consumers, scientists, and policymakers to make informed decisions. The chemicals added intentionally are called additives, and they give plastics its wide range of properties, from color and strength to its flexibility and its resistance to heat. So for example, a single polymer like polyvinyl chloride, or PVC, can be made into a huge variety of materials. But many of these chemicals can leach out of the plastic, which enters our environment, our food, beverages, and ultimately our bodies. So there's an important note here that heat is a major factor that affects how easily chemicals can leach out of plastic, which is why a big takeaway tonight should be to never microwave food or beverages in plastic. The chemicals will leach out into your food. So here are some examples of the plastic additives that are well studied and known to cause a variety of health harms. So they're listed on this slide. Phthalates are used to make plastic soft and flexible. So they're found in products like shower curtains, packaging, and toys. Bisphenols like BPA are used to make plastic hard. So they're often found in hard, clear plastic containers, water bottles, and they're also used as a lining inside cans. Per and polyfluoroalkyl, or PFAS, make products water, grease, and stain resistant. So like the chemicals and substances you find in nonstick coatings of pans, sprayed on furniture or waterproof gear. And then flame retardants are often used in building materials, electronics, and some furniture. Heavy metals can be found to be used to give color and are found in old plastic toys and electronics. So the phthalates, the bisphenols, and the flame retardants can disrupt the body's hormone system. And that affects children, metabolism, and reproduction. PFAS and heavy metals can build up in the body over time and are linked to immune problems, cancer risk, and neurotoxicity. So now that we've covered some of the major issues behind the plastics crisis, the big question is kind of, why is all this happening? Well, one major reason is the fracking boom in the US. So in the 1990s, engineers perfected fracking, which is a method of extracting oil and gas from deep underground. Fracking, which is short for hydraulic fracturing, is a process of pumping millions of gallons of water mixed with chemicals and sand deep underground to fracture the bedrock so the pockets of gas can be extracted. So this sparked a huge energy boom in the US. One of the byproducts of fracking is ethane, which used to be burned off as waste until chemists realized they could capture it and turn it into cheap plastic. So ethane crackers are facilities that crack ethane into ethylene, which is the building block of most plastics that we see today. Before this, ethylene was created from naphtha, which is a component of crude oil. So this shift created a flood of cheap plastic feedstock, and the petrochemical industry has been expanding rapidly, pushing plastic into more markets to capitalize on this low-cost supply. So this is a big reason why so much new plastic is being introduced today, and why we see scenes like you see on the slide here in our grocery stores. So given everything we've discussed on how plastic is made, it probably won't surprise you that producing plastic releases a lot of greenhouse gases. So plastic contributes to climate change at every stage of its life cycle, from fracking and cracking to manufacturing, use, and disposal. In fact, the plastic industry releases 4 times as many greenhouse gases as the entire aviation sector. You can find more details on plastic's contribution to climate change in this report that you see shown on the slide. And it shows that the plastic industry is on track to overtake the coal industry in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. And it's important to understand that this plastic pollution is not distributed equally. So plastic production facilities are highly polluting, contaminating the air, water, and soil in the communities around them. However, these facilities are mostly concentrated in 2 areas in the United States, as you can see on the map, in the Ohio River Valley and the Gulf Coast. So many studies show that the harms disproportionately affect communities of color and low-income communities who face the greatest health and environmental burdens. So what can we do to fight the plastics crisis? Well, first we need to recognize and avoid false solutions, which are ideas that sound good, but that don't actually solve the problem. So one of the biggest misconceptions is that we simply can recycle our way out of this. And unfortunately, plastic recycling has been an abysmal failure. As we've discussed, plastics are made from many different materials and chemical mixtures, which makes them inherently difficult and often impossible to recycle. And then recycling plastic is also really expensive, it's polluting, and it only works for a very small fraction of plastics. So I think it's important to note that the chasing arrow symbol you see on many plastics does not mean the item is recyclable. It simply indicates that the plastic resin code, so 1 through 7, of the item, that's what it's representing. So this symbol has been co-opted by the plastic industry to make consumers feel better about buying more plastic. They've known this for decades, but they continue to promote recycling as a solution. And again, we have a report that's shown here on the slide if you want to dig into this deeper. So unfortunately, recycling is just one of the many false solutions promoted by the plastic industry. Here are a few common false solutions that we want to avoid. For example, chemical recycling is also called advanced recycling, and it's often touted by industry as a fix for the failures of conventional recycling. However, the technology has not proven effective, and it often turns plastic into fossil fuels to be burned, which harms the environment, the climate, human health, and environmental justice. Another example of false solutions are mail-back recycling programs, which ask people to mail their hard-to-recycle plastic waste to be recycled. So this does not align with the fact that plastic is nearly impossible to recycle, and the waste is usually downcycled or ends up burned or dumped in landfills. So the process of shipping waste across the country also creates additional climate pollution, and the system is more harmful than helpful. So just kind of a note on this. So many of these approaches are designed to make us feel like we're addressing the problem. But in reality, they perpetuate the narrative that recycling alone is the solution. So I think we all feel like throwing items in the garbage can make you feel guilty, but that guilt is only productive if it drives real action, like calling your local officials or getting involved in systemic change. So we need to shift the narrative. Participating in these programs often kind of just kicks the can down the road, and then that produces harm along the way. So downcycled items like benches and decks made of plastic are leaching microplastics into our air, soil, and bodies. Bricks made of plastic create huge issues when they burn. So if you look at the California fires, where toxic chemicals from burning plastics are found in the air and soil and even inside people's homes. So we're essentially hiding our trash in the walls of our homes, which continue to perpetuate the problem. So the key takeaway is we need to move beyond feel-good recycling programs and focus on systemic solutions that reduce plastic production. There's a great analogy from the documentary, The Story of Plastic. If your bathtub is overflowing, you would first turn off the tap, right? So our current solutions are kind of like using a teaspoon to empty the bathtub while the tap is still full blast. So the real solution is to turn off the tap to plastic production. Remember that it's rising at a really alarming rate, and it's looking to double by 2040. So the only way to stop plastic pollution is to stop making so much plastic, especially the unnecessary single-use and disposable plastics that we use every day. So this was a quick overview on a very large issue. We have a great tool for you to use if you want to do a deeper dive into learning more. We wrote a book. It's called The Problem with Plastics, and it's an excellent resource to explore in more depth any of the topics that we talked about today. But I think most importantly, we need everyone to kind of join this fight, right? The plastics industry will not stop making plastic on their own. And it will require a grassroots movement and organizing, and we know that this works. So people often ask, so how do I start to take action? Well, I'm going to briefly share what we rolled out at the beginning of this year, which is the Beyond Plastics Network. And our network emphasizes the power of connection across 5 volunteer groups. So this framework is grounded in ongoing collaboration, where information, strategy, and energy flows freely between all groups. So here's what the network looks like. Our 5 volunteer groups are local groups, affiliates, advocates and organizers, community partners, and the Speakers Bureau. And this is really designed as an on-ramp to action. So it makes it easy for people to get involved in ways that match their interest, their skills, and their capacity. So people can move fluidly across roles. For example, you might start as a speaker or an advocate. And if you're ready to take on more, grow into a local group leader or a policy organizer. So I'm going to touch really briefly on each one. We have 40 local groups across the country. Every group is identified by their local town or city. We offer helpful resources like Zoom accounts, extensive toolkits. We facilitate monthly meetings, and we offer ongoing educational opportunities. We have 146 affiliates across the country. You can see some of the logos on the right-hand side. The third way to join the network is as an independent advocate or organizer. So these are individuals who are not part of a formal local group or affiliate. They have access to the same tools and training to amplify their efforts. It also serves as a pathway to really grow our movement by inviting others to take action in their own communities. So the slide you're looking at here is a photo of advocates and organizers that are working to get the PREA bill passed, which is Packaging Reduction Recycling Infrastructure Act. We're working on that EPR bill in New York State. And then next, volunteer speakers play a key role in educating the public. So policymakers, organizations, all of those folks, educating them about the harms of plastic pollution. We equip speakers with up-to-date peer-reviewed materials so they can confidently present and counter industry misinformation. And this is a really fantastic way to join the network if you love presenting, meeting new people, and sharing your knowledge. Or if you want to build confidence speaking with your local elected officials about plastic pollution. We currently have 17 volunteer speakers, and we're about to expand this program and open up applications. And then lastly, our community partners are organizations that are working on supporting or exploring ways to reduce plastic pollution in their communities. So we aim to build reciprocal long-term relationships so that when opportunities arise, we can mobilize together effectively. We focus really on how our work intersects, whether it's water, air, soil, or other environmental issues. So many of our partners work on a wide range of issues in addition to plastics. So they collaborate with us on shared goals and projects without formally affiliating. And then our network offers monthly meetings. We had our February meeting last night. We meet the second Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Another way you can start your journey is to participate in our advocacy training. We offer a free 2-hour online training 4 times a year. QR code here takes you to a registration page. And then our founder and president, Judith, offers a Beyond Plastic Pollution course twice a year at Bennington. It's via Zoom. It's offered in the spring and fall. It's an 8-week course, 2 hours on a Wednesday night. The next one starts February 18th. And you can audit the course for $100. We have a regional conference coming up in Philadelphia at the Franklin Institute, and we'll be focusing on helping people with their organizing skills and advocacy. So if you're in the area and would like to join, we would love to have you. And that's all I have today. I really appreciate everyone wanting to learn more about this. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
So Suzette, do you work out of Bennington, Vermont?
I am right outside in the outskirts of Philadelphia. So we're based out of Bennington and we're all remote. So we're kind of all over the country.
So what can we do to make, I guess it's legislation we need to make manufacturers responsible for what they're using for packaging? Is that what's gonna make less plastic in our environment?
Yeah, so that's the ultimate goal. Yes, to pass legislation that curbs production and puts the responsibility back on the people creating this. Um, Along the way, our theory of change is we all start locally in our own communities, and we start with education, and we pass local ordinances. So we build up to state level work. So whether that's people passing single-use plastic bag bans, which I've done in counties outside of Philadelphia, or you're kind of running voluntary campaigns if you're in a preemption state where people run campaigns to like skip the stuff, which is people have to ask for condiments and plastic utensils on takeout and delivery versus they just get thrown in every bag and people throw them away or put them in a junk drawer in their waste. So there's lots of different ways we work with groups in their communities to start educating people. I mean, it could be things as simple as trying to install water refill stations in parks and in bus stations and in community centers so that we're not buying plastic, beverages housed in plastic. So there's all sorts of campaigns people can do. It's really about, people talk a lot about their individual lifestyle changes. That's kind of just the gateway to try and open the door to how do we create systemic change that affects more than you or the people that you know, that affects your community and affects your state eventually.
Right, so we already passed a plastic bag ban and
Right,
had like a few years ago.
right,
And so for me, and I guess for all of us, a big concern of mine is the like I use glass containers now instead of plastic. A lot of plastic I'm not using anymore, but it's what I buy my food in. It's the packaging. And
right.
we actually had Ridwell come to us. We did a Zoom with Ridwell and got very excited about that. But it's true. Even if they are recycling it into those bricks, then those bricks are in the ground and they're leaching. It's like not really helping. So I just feel frustrated because I don't want to use, like all the, like what potato chips come in or sliced, ham or turkey. It's those things that it's either send it to Ridwell or put it in the trash. I don't know how to not use those things. It's,
Well,
go ahead, Mike.
I just had another question. I mean, plastic is a huge problem. Um, there's only one other problem that's bigger than it by several orders of magnitude, and that's global warming.
Mhm.
That's what we work on primarily here as a committee. And there are several instances where plastic use is actually significantly more energy efficient because in the agricultural industry, you can use containers over and over again to crate up your stuff instead of using disposable boxes. And in the food industry, many of these awful plastic packaging that we hate actually saves substantial amount of energy by preserving the life of the food substantially, so that we don't throw away food, which has huge embedded energy costs in it. So as you tinker with our system and create incentives to reduce plastic, which is vital, how are you going to do that to ensure that you don't create more carbon production as you're doing that, as you're disincentivizing plastic use? How do you make sure that the economy doesn't shift to some other material that's way more energy intensive, stainless steel, for instance, which would be a disaster, or glass in many cases is much heavier and burns substantially more fuel to move stuff around. So how are you going to deal with that?
Yeah, so I don't know if we're charged with dealing with all of that, but what I will say is I understand the comparisons that you're making. I guess I would say we land on the side of reuse and refill. So that's like when we do plastic bag bans, we're not looking for people to shift to paper bags. We're looking for people to shift to reusable bags.
Right,
And
so go
and
ahead.
so part of our recommendations always are building out the refill reuse infrastructure system versus trying to switch to another disposable product. Now, what I will say about things like stainless and glass is they aren't full of toxic chemicals that are hurting our health and damaging our soil and our agriculture. So, a lot of the problems with and a lot of the work that we do around EPR is trying to ban those chemicals that are known to be toxic to all of us, especially children. And children are being born today with microplastics in their body, and those chemicals are attached to them. So do we know the full impact of that? No, not at this point, but we have to assume it's probably not very good. So I hear you loud and clear. I think our message is really we're not looking for anyone to do this perfectly, but we have to slow down the production of plastic. We're not even suggesting we're we're ending plastic production, but 40% of plastic is used for single-use packaging. And if we could make a real difference on that, we've significantly cut down production. We don't need bananas and avocados and things wrapped in plastic in our supermarkets. We never asked for that. It's just showing up because people are deciding that that's what they want to do. And so a lot of this is kind of going back to the ways people used to do things. I mean, people have been growing food for centuries without using plastic. So I'm not suggesting we have an answer for all of it, but it has to start with this isn't the consumer's fault. Like, it's not everyone's fault that we haven't recycled well enough or we haven't put things in the right container. They want us to believe that we're not doing our job when we really need to hold the producers accountable. And so that's why we work hard towards legislation. So I'm not sure if that fully answered your question.
Well, I think what Michael's saying, and it was kind of touched on what I was bringing up, is packaging. The packaging that we can't avoid, that is used now. And
And
what
some of that is single use. A lot of it is.
A lot of
is.
single use, right?
And there's no other alternative.
Well, that's it. Is there something under development that wouldn't be poisonous to us that could be?
Yeah, so there are promising things. There's nothing that we know of right now that's scaled up to the point where it would be impactful, but there's a lot of great research and products being made with seaweed and mushrooms and fiber that are not coated in chemicals. So people are working on it. You know, we talk to communities where they switch from using throwaway plastic containers to reusable plastic containers in their communities where they live, where they take a lot of food back to their residents. And our position on that is it's a good step in the right direction. You know, it's going from single use to something that is reusable. The problems with that is the people that sell you those reusable plastic containers don't tell you that you really shouldn't put hot food in it because the chemicals in the plastic leach out into the food. Ideally, it would be stainless or glass or something of those sorts, but that's also not always economically feasible for everyone. So we encourage people to, you don't have to do it perfectly, but you take a step in the right direction to get away from single-use throwaway to something that's being reused.
So the packaging is just.
I'm just curious from a kind of consumer perspective, this like movement towards silicone products. What's because I've noticed there's like been a rise in that as a solution.
Right.
And I don't know anything about that. And I have to say, I like have a little bit of suspect about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. We're looking to take a deep dive on that. If we can get some funding to do that, we are suspect as well.
What I've read about silicone is it's not poisonous to us like plastic is, but it takes just as long to break down. It just sticks around forever.
So Suzette, you mentioned about funding. Where does funding for your organization come from?
Some of it comes from the public, a lot of it comes from foundations or like private grants.
So is there any specific legislation you know of that we should pay attention to and, advocate for?
So you're in Massachusetts, is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so do you work with Plastic Free Mass at all?
Never heard of it.
No, but we are, one of the next agenda items is we're going to be talking about Bill S 2541, the Act to Reduce Plastic. So thinking about getting our names onto moving that bill forward.
Yeah, so my recommendation, we work with Plastic Free Mass, and we have some local groups and affiliates in Massachusetts who all kind of work together through and follow the lead of Plastic Free Mass. So they would really have their finger on the pulse of the legislation and what's possible there. So that would be my strong recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just a footnote, you're suggesting glass and stainless is less toxic. Glass is certainly less toxic. Stainless has a lot of heavy metals in the production of it,
Yeah.
and it's very poisonous and pollution contributing in its manufacturing like plastic is.
Yeah, so this is not good.
It is now, just when they were making it, wasn't so good.
Oh, it's in the production of it. Great.
Oh.
It's
I
a
guess it's
lot.
better than plastic. Better than,
And how many times you use that? All down to how many times you can use stuff.
I've been using this bottle for years.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, well, does anybody
Is it
have,
my time to leave?
yeah, I think, does anybody have any more questions for her? No?
Thanks for joining us
Yeah,
today.
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a great rest of the meeting, and I hope to talk to you again.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Lori.
Okay, so great.
Oh my God, painful, Jesus.
It is.
Oh,
So do you want to talk
I
about
do.
that?
This is the perfect timing. All right, so a group of us, some folks around Leverett and other people in the valley are trying to get the Massachusetts legislature to move on Bill S 2541.
Say it again, Bill, what?
S 2541, so I guess that would be the Senate bill. On the Act to Reduce Plastic, and we have created a letter about that. And I'll certainly pass this around for everybody. And if you're willing, let me know, and I'll create this letter for our group and send it on to all the legislators on the list.
Okay. Yeah.
thank you, yeah.
Yeah.
So that is one thing to do on the plastic issue.
Thank you for taking initiative about that, yeah. And if you please can send it to us, so we can send to all our mailing lists and all
Yeah.
our friends.
What I'll do is I'll send it with all of our names on it and then just eliminate, and then you can pass it forward.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do you remember anything about that, the mitigation plan?
Okay,
I'm ready for that.
I think so, yeah, go ahead.
All right, back in December, Kathy and I went to, a presentation of Hadley's, hazard mitigation plan. So there has been a committee that has been working at least throughout the last year, reviewing Hadley's hazard mitigation plan, which I think was up in 2016. And they were working on renewing it, the COVID hit and, the whole story there. So Mimi Kaplan, did a presentation of where, the process is at right now. And, essentially, the group was tasked with reviewing the old plan and then looking at some of, what the requirements were. Let me see if I can find it here. So the components were, identifying hazards that can impact Hadley, identifying and mapping the critical infrastructure, a risk assessment of how Hadley's buildings, property, and residents, in particular, the vulnerable populations, could be impacted, assessing the town's mitigation capabilities, and then, as I just said, reviewing the previous mitigation strategies and bringing the ones that work forward and then changing things up as needed. Let me see, the biggest takeaway that I had from the meeting, I mean, the group is working hard. There's gonna be another public presentation of the plan, I think sometime in the spring. But what struck me the most is, I think Hadley being impacted the most by water. And we have the issue, and they talked about it with the current levee and the proposed new levee, and that the Army Corps of Engineers is really not involved anymore, other than maybe a consulting role. So all of the towns on the rivers who have levees are left to take care of these things. So, Mike Mason and Mike Spanknable were talking to legislators and some rather high up folks in Massachusetts to secure funding and just letting people know no town can handle this on their own. And I think the cost of doing, fixing the levee, I think raising it up and then building on the Bay Road section of it would be to the tune of $80 million. So they are working on that. So I think if people keep letting their representatives know, hey, this is a concern, we need help. The state needs,
Yeah,
they just need to help. The Connecticut River bisects the state of Massachusetts. It's not just Hadley's problem. However, the entire west border of Hadley is the Connecticut River.
right.
So, I mean, that's an issue. And we are making progress because Hadley received grants for the culverts and for the agricultural ditches. So that issue is being worked on. And did I forget anything?
No,
like
you
that?
pretty much covered it. I mean, I wrote down identified top hazard concerns. I mean, it's the streets everybody knows: Aquavita Road, Bay Road, Honey Pot Road, Mountain Road. Is that something? Moody Bridge Road and East Street between Public Safety and Newton Lane. But it's part of the watershed. I mean,
And I think part of what they were working at, they were presented with some data, which I did not catch where this came from, but it's expected by the year 2030, we're going to be experiencing temperatures 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit higher than we are now. By 2050, we have 3 times more likely to have river floods. 2070, 65 fewer days below freezing, and by 2090, they're expecting historical rainfall events much more frequently, anywhere between 2.6 and 4 inches at a time. So, like I said, I don't know exactly where that information came from, but they're mitigating around those potential possibilities. So that's the goal of the group. And it was recorded, so if anyone's interested, they can find it through Hadley Media. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the good news is they are working. on it. I
Proactive,
think they
yeah.
were waiting to get some funding because,
Kathy, I'm gonna need that letter to
Okay.
get circulated around, just to
Oh,
make sure that
yeah.
other people can see it.
sorry.
And again, later on, if you all approve, I'll just sign our names and send it on,
Okay,
so.
Oh, and the last thing is, when this plan comes together, then Hadley will be eligible for grants again. So it's kind of essential that this gets on the books.
okay. So does anybody have anything to say anymore about that? No? All right, so updates. The first one is the spring cleanup date, and I think, do you want to talk
Yeah,
about this?
I can. So let me just check the calendar. So April, we have tried the spring cleanup earlier, and we've tried it later, and we've tried it in between.
Mhm.
And, last year we tried it quite early.
With
and
the
get snowed
snow,
out.
Yeah,
The year before, we had tried it a little later. And it was okay, except some people were impacted by poison ivy and certain other things coming up. So it's hard to know the just right date, but I'm suggesting Saturday, the 25th
Of what?
of April.
Okay.
So right around Earth Day,
Mhm.
but just after. And I had emailed Jennifer Sanders James
yeah,
to see if there were any massive town events,
nothing, right?
and nothing that she said. So that is the backside of school vacation week. That can create some problems, but
Oh, it ends on that weekend?
yeah, but still, I'll invite the students who are here. They've, some years we've had 20 students plus
Yeah.
helping us. And
Okay,
that's-
so we're talking about April 25th.
Yeah. So when it comes to this cleanup day, I have a list of people that I contact. So Solid Waste Solutions, they who run the dump or the transfer station. Hand Bagels, they provide the snacks. The police officers, the fire department, the school, Home Depot for donating some supplies. And then I try to put it out on Facebook, Next Door Neighbor, and just send it out on some of those things that instead of
Okay,
keeping the
for
list.
volunteer.
Could you add their invitation to the Chinese school
Sure,
and also the high school school?
Yeah.
Those invitation. If you
Yeah.
are part of Hadley,
Yeah,
yeah,
could you
that's.
please, for me, like if it's vacation, so then it's like,
yeah, but some people don't go away or they'll be back or some
right.
kids will be gung ho about it and.
Yeah.
So Chinese Immersion Charter School, Hartsbrook, can you think of any other
Any other
schools
schools
or
around?
any other groups? And do we have a contact for the Girl Scouts?
Well, yeah, my daughter.
Oh, there you go. So,
I don't think they'll do.
well, and also, there's a little bit of risk to this. And, you don't necessarily want kids that are too young.
That's what
right
I'm
next to
thinking.
the road.
They're
Unless they
for
go on, like,
10-year-olds and I
Rail
just,
trail.
Well, the state is supposed to be cleaning that up. Yeah,
Also, we can suggest people to wear gloves,
yeah,
to be very aware of the poison.
Yeah.
And everything. So,
Can we make an effort to make sure that, the aluminum doesn't get thrown out when it gets picked up?
what people have been asked to do, and solid waste has been a good partner over the years, but I think they have a bin for recycling at the transfer station. So we actually kept our aluminum separate and we put it in to the
Mhm.
aluminum bin.
But I
Well,
think
it's not
we
just
suggest
aluminum,
this.
it's,
no.
yeah, it's recyclables.
Because we don't have a dump sticker, I don't know, but I think they
No,
have a
but
place that they do
there's
recycle.
the way we have dual stream recycling at the transfer station. But that means containers go in one bin, including aluminum cans
Mhm.
and paper.
Mhm.
All paper goes into another one.
Do you think that's enough? for
I,
what you
I
think?
guess so. I mean, the can of aluminum is about a gallon of gasoline
Yeah.
if you don't recycle it.
No, but soda cans and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that can go right in with plastic. and
Right,
glass.
But
but
it's
when
very
we give
good point,
people
yes.
trash bags.
Yeah.
They go out and they pick up trash and they throw it all in there.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
we
they're
don't
not
tell
separating
people, we
out
don't
the
tell people, we should have like a different bag.
Yeah.
Well, when Claire and I go out together, we have 2 or 3 different bags.
I know, I'm just thinking if we're organizing, we need to educate people
Yeah.
because
Right,
most
so
people just go out. and go. So if we can give
Tin
people
can.
like
Yeah.
a different colored bag.
Yeah,
And we tell people, put your aluminum cans in here and your clean containers in here, because everything
Okay.
else is gonna make a mess of the recycling system.
And that sounds good. And next monthly meeting, we can check in one more time and go over it,
Okay.
make sure it's all pretty good. Yeah,
also could invite, I don't know, like the UMass Department of or, you know, clubs in UMass. They say Hadley has this, we invite all the
Yeah.
kids of this club or this,
That's a good idea.
how they call it, the fraternity.
yeah.
To support us in a cleaning day.
But that's a good one. I've never really thought of contacting UMass Amherst because this
But
is the Hadley
why
cleanup
not?
day,
They
but
use Hadley all the time.
Yeah, but isn't even part of the campus in Hadley?
Yeah, we have part of the, yeah,
So,
thank you, yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
might
that's
as
good.
well.
Thanks.
Okay, is that it on spring cleanup? So do you wanna talk about Orlando?
Sure,
Here.
yes, we're making some good progress, we think, just to summarize what's happened thus far, we thought that from the beginning that the most favorable use of landfill would be that the town own a photovoltaic solar system on there and own it and profit from it and develop it. Well, the Trump administration's big beautiful bill is phasing out the federal tax credit, which pays for 30 to 40% of all the projects. But they are phasing it out. Unfortunately, they're phasing it out in a time period that a municipality like Hadley is not going to be able to get
It's
their
happening really
act
soon.
together fast
Yeah.
enough and get the funds risked and paid out in it.
Mm.
So that's not gonna happen. So we sort of gave up for a few weeks, month there. And then, realized that there were probably some asset holders, for-profit developers that would be interested in developing the site, much like all the other towns who have
Yeah.
solar PV to date have done in the past. And those, asset holders would be able to expedite, they do this all the time, they could meet the phase out requirements that the big
The
beautiful
fees,
bill has,
Yeah,
so that they could get it expended in time to qualify for that tax credit. And so we entertained some proposals from a couple different developers, and we have one really good one. It will make the town about $4.12 million over 25 years. Just substantial savings for the town that will be on top of that. That is a combination of a reduced electric rate and some pilot funds that the company will pay the town.
what does that mean, pilot?
Payment in lieu of taxes.
Oh, I see.
Just,
Okay,
it's a way of them providing us with
Making it
benefits.
worth our while.
Obviously, they're gonna own it, they're gonna get most of the benefits, they're gonna get 70% of the value that is created from this electricity that gets generated. But they're gonna give us a 30% credit on our bills for that, and that's gonna add
for
up.
municipal
Yeah,
buildings.
yes.
Not
exactly.
everybody in the town.
Exactly, the
Okay.
municipal buildings, thank you. And that's gonna add up to about 4.1 million over the course of the life of the project. A battery is not required, battery storage would not be required for a project of this size. We're
And we
just under the limit.
don't we want one, even though it's not?
I personally, I think batteries are a good idea. Lithium scares the crap out of me. It's, the expensive batteries are not as bad and they're very expensive. So we're not gonna have to deal with
We
that
don't have
headache.
to, so we're not going to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, what else?
Do you remember the name of this company?
By far the most beneficial one is Sunwell. And, at this point, we're going before the select board next week. As the solar task force to recommend that they proceed, with engaging,
Numbers.
yeah, no, Sunwell in.
Oh, the
develop-
town
in
going
develop-
out.
In developing the project. There are obviously, there are usually major RFP processes that are required to do something like this. However, there is a nonprofit, formerly a government entity, and I'm spacing out on the name of it. It's
Power Source.
Power Source, yeah. Thank you. And they have done all the bidding and all the vetting, and they actually have already worked, assigned Sunwealth with a certain amount of production. And so that would be expedited, hopefully as well.
All the,
So
preliminary
this Power
plans,
Source would
fees.
would be in charge of ensuring that we met all the competitive bidding processes. And they'd be able to do that in a fairly expeditious way. The town will have to join Power Source. It's a membership entity. It costs between $500 and $1,000 per year for the town to do that. That would
It
pretty
seems
much
really
be the
worth it.
only expense the town would have, other than simply saving money over the next 20.
So those, the select board had said, okay, we'll spend the like, what was it, $10,000 or something?
There was a $12,000 expenditure to get a proposal through Eversource.
Have we done that?
We did that, and we went to Eversource. Eversource said, in order to continue, we need $80,000. And
So Sunwells will do all that?
so the hope is that Sunwealth will be able to jump into our existing proposal, because they are using the design that half of that $12,000 was used to pay Solar Design Associates. to design it.
Right.
And it is the proposal on the table right now that everybody is using, including Sunwell. And so presumably, they may be able to just jump in there and get Eversource going. on
Right, it shouldn't
interconnection.
cost the town that big money, I mean, that's
How
part of,
much did you say again that it would cost the town every year?
Well, I don't even think it's every year. It's just to get this Power Source entity on our team during the development phase.
I
You know,
think she means the fee. The
Oh, you said
500
500.
$500,000.
for each year that we.
Well, we don't know if
Involved.
it's for each year.
No, it's definitely not for each year.
Oh, I
It's
thought
just,
that's-
it's just to help us
Oh,
through
to
this
be
bidding
involved
process.
with powers,
So for
So
a
it's
year,
like a
for a
membership.
year or two.
yeah.
So first of all, thank you for doing this, because it seems like it's been an epic amount of work. Second thing is my understanding that Deerfield did something very similar when they were installing solar. The town could not fund it, they just didn't have the
Right.
wherewithal. So they went to this outside group who funded it, and then they are recouping the money every year. What, did you say 4 million, 6 million?
This is valued at about 4.1 million for the town
Over-
of Hadley.
Over.
Yeah, which is still,
Every.
25 years.
no,
payback.
it's not,
Right.
yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
We could use the money, but $4 million over 20 years, this is
Any
really a
savings is
plus.
saving, plus it's solar power
Yeah.
and not greenhouse gases, so.
So, knowing that we're gonna bypass the batteries, there's also another person who is looking to install a similar solar project on their farm field. And so Eversource would have to run 3-phase power, so a special power line to handle this large amount. And,
But they're gonna split.
but maybe it could be split or shared.
That's a big plus of making this more valuable to the developer and ultimately more profitable for the developer.
So is that being
and
talked
Hadley.
about? And-
Absolutely, yeah, the person who
Cool.
is working with the other farmer who's Joseph
Yeah,
Halpy.
right.
Is
Jake Marley.
Jake Marley, and he works for Hyperion.
Yeah.
And he has been helping us find these other developers.
Oh, so everybody's working
So
together.
we're all
Oh,
working
awesome.
together,
I
and
love that.
The way it should be,
Yeah.
everybody working together. And Hyperion had actually installed a similar system on Shattuck Road. So, it's been piloted, sort of
Cool. Oh,
agrivoltaics and all that.
So,
yeah, the farmer portion of this project.
So it's happening, like,
Well, it's not happening yet, but we're moving ahead and, you know, you're saying it has been a lot of work, but in a lot of ways, this is going to create a lot less work for the town, for those of us on the solar task force, because somebody is getting paid to develop things in the development.
right, so you don't have to try to do it, yeah.
However it happens, it looks like you kind of guided us to the right endpoint, and that's.
Yeah,
just
yeah, I wish
what
I wish
happened.
we'd listened to Molly Keegan at the very beginning when she said, maybe we should look at having a private developer do this. That was a
Well,
long time ago.
but you know, we love the idea of the town owning it.
I know we did, and it would have made,
And
we
it
would
would
have,
have been
we would have made a
awesome.
lot of money as a
Yeah,
town on
yeah.
it if we pulled it
So
off.
it's been a process,
Yeah.
but you know.
Yeah.
It's,
If this can happen,
You need money to make money.
yeah, if this can happen, this will really be quite the coup. You know, we were able to get the Green Communities Grant, able to do the plastic bag ban. And if there's a way to get solar on the landfill, that will be
It's a
amazing.
big system. It's a lot of energy.
Is it over a
Right.
megawatt or just under?
It's just under a megawatt DC, AC, and just over a megawatt DC.
And it's interesting because I know there was a letter to the editor in today's Gazette that was actually looking at that.
yeah, I
And
sent that. to
they
my
were
guys. Did you
urging-
See that?
urging all the towns besides Northampton that's done it and besides Amherst that's
Well,
done it.
somebody did the math, like how much solar we need in Hampshire County to do our part, and it's a lot.
It ain't all gonna fit on rooftops.
No, and he actually, did you read it? He figured out, okay, here's the available rooftops, here are the available parking lots. That's like 20% of what we need, that's just all there is, the rest has to go on the ground.
Well, it sure would be great if we could convince the people who own the malls at some point to do rooftop solar. I understand that's way out and that's not really our charge, but it would be great if they.
Well, maybe in the
idea.
next presidential cycle, when they
It's a
don't,
good idea. We might wanna, think about ways to pressuring them to do it.
I
don't even know who owns it anymore.
Somebody knows.
somebody could find out, but right now there
That's
are no
fine.
incentives. It's like really hard to get, you know,
And were you able to catch it while there were still incentives?
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
oh, it's,
Yeah.
is it up and running now?
Yeah, but it's covered in snow and.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect world here.
Right after.
But better to get it, it's all set up and ready, so.
Yay.
So as soon as that melts off.
Is it connected?
Uh-huh.
Good.
Yeah.
And the JCA got a whole solar array, big parking lot canopy.
Nice.
Oh,
That's-
really?
Yeah,
That's really
Is the
exciting.
snow melted on that one or shit fluff?
yeah, I mean, it's
Yes,
dripping on
yeah.
our cars, so. Right, you think, be under the canopy, it's like you come out at night and it's all like frozen drips. on the car.
You see
It's
little
fine.
rainbows?
Yeah, right.
Bill,
A question for you, what happened with the compost? In the transfer station?
We're gonna.
Oh,
are we-
it's been empty, yeah.
Already empty?
Yeah. I guess it was, you know, when we got a bunch of snow, I called Solid Waste Solutions and Capsella was just giving her the runaround. They couldn't, I mean, the driver was saying, oh, sorry, I didn't let you know, I don't have a cell phone, and she's like, and she's like, why didn't you show up? And I don't know,
Anyway, so
anyway.
it's-
There was just some kind of mess up with Capsella for a couple of weeks, but it has been emptied and
Alright.
hopefully now they're gonna, you know.
Thank you.
It's also very difficult when it was so cold and
Uh-huh.
getting some of these things done. I don't think that helped.
Well, I think that's what
Yeah.
the problems, but the good news
In the bumper
is.
sticker that says compost happens.
Yeah.
No,
It
but
doesn't
the,
happen when it's really cold.
Right.
Yeah.
It just sits there.
but the good news is, after 2 weeks, okay, so Capsella comes once a week to empty it. After 2 weeks of not being emptied, it was overflowing.
Yeah,
from
that's
just-
good, that's a good news.
So that means there's,
Frozen solid.
no, but I'm saying they're filling that dumpster.
Yes,
That's,
Yeah,
that's a decent
great.
amount of
Yeah.
food waste.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's,
and I did talk to Jane the other day on 5.3 about senior center solar, and she said she would report back in a few weeks.
Be nice to make a general announcement when they get
their bill.
their bill and also their rebate, which is gonna be several $1,000s, that's gonna go back to the town budget.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to.
Will it go back to the town budget or the solar, or the
It's going
senior
back to
center?
the town budget, but it's already.
Thank goodness for that. All right, so is that it on the landfill? We done?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, green communities update.
What about, there's also senior center solar?
We just.
Yeah, there's really
Nothing really
no
to
news
report.
right now. Jane wasn't able to join us for tonight's meeting. But in the springtime,
Yeah.
when they're producing more. she'll
That's
be
when
able
it's
to
gonna be
join us.
really fun to hear
Yes.
about.
Mhm.
Yeah. So green communities update. Oh my God, the ongoing saga of AEG and Kyle Hauser. So we were all set to have, AEG was gonna do the installation at Hopkins on Tuesday during the February break, and I guess this is my guess, that some boss of Kyle's said, you haven't done any air sealing there. You should do air sealing before insulation. So I got an email from him saying, can we do a quick phone call? Which, anyway, so he's all excited saying, what he said was, we're going to use this other material, and he did say air sealing. He made it sound like this air sealing job would take the place of insulating. And I'm like, what? And it's for way less money, like so much less money. It's going to leave us with $97,000 to spend. So I listened to what he said and I'm like, okay. And he said, and I have ideas for other projects at the schools that we can do to use up that money. And I'm like, Kyle, you've taken forever. I said, you know what, do this. So put together a proposal for whatever you're talking about and we'll get back to you. And then I called Chris and we talked, and in the meantime, Chris has gotten proposals from another company like AEG called CET for our next round. And because none of this insulation work has been done at Hopkins, and part of their proposal, in fact, I've got it with me, I mean, their quote for air sealing and insulation at Hopkins is so much higher than AEG. It makes me wonder, but they're more specific about it. It's like 100,000 to do all the ceilings, under the roof, between the drop ceiling and then 100,000 to do the walls and 88,000 to do the air sealing. Well, what Kyle is talking about doing, I don't have a copy of the proposal. He sent me a copy of the incentive, which is $18,000, and he claims the job is gonna cost like 7,000 and something. So I did the math. That means he's talking about, we're gonna do it. Oh, he's talking about doing this air sealing job for 25,771. And that's all we have a quote for right now. He said, so Chris talked to him about and said, we still really want the insulation. God only knows when they're gonna do it. I mean, I don't know how many days air sealing will take, if it's possible.
And they're doing it next week, or now they have
They're
to
doing it in the.
They're doing air sealing next week.
Okay.
They call, yeah.
I mean, what is your guys' opinion of AEG? Should we just cut our ties with them and talked to somebody else about doing the insulation.
Who are they?
AEG, it's Advanced Energy Group or something like that.
And this guy is a Kyle is his.
Kyle Hauser, he's their rep.
So are they actually contractors or are they brokers for contractors?
I think they're contractors. They did the lighting upgrade at the sewer department, and then he identified another area, corner of the DPW building that needed two lights upgraded, but he never got back to them with a proposal or a quote or anything. And so he was talking about, he's like, oh, for safety, we need to do that too. And I'm like, you've been talking to us for months. I said, you know what, let me check with Gary and Scott. And I did. They got the job done already.
So
They hired
here,
somebody else.
here's the problem. First of all, there's been a lot of lost time, but secondly, we don't have any kind of funding that would cover what CET is proposing.
No, I realize that. But they haven't applied incentives yet either. I mean, I don't know.
Kathy, you're most familiar with the school. I mean, do you have any opinions on
Is it
what's
this?
best with this?
Well, it's really not the,
The only thing that's going through my mind right now is, here we are at February break and now they're changing the plan again.
Right.
right. I
Let's get
mean,
this done. We
well,
can
and they
apply for more
kinda
grants.
so lame. I mean, he didn't even suggest that we do. They're supposed to be the experts, and so I Googled it, like air sealing versus insulation, and they're two distinctly different things. And they're
That's what I
both
thought.
needed, and you should do the air sealing first, but he never even suggested that. I have a feeling somebody went over his plan and said, excuse me, wait a minute, you haven't suggested air sealing to them, you gotta do that first.
What did Chris at the school,
I,
what is,
well,
What's his
so
thoughts?
much on his plate right now that
I know, I
I'm not really
understand that.
playing, giving it 100%, but, so I emailed him back, is this for the ceiling? Where's
Where's
this
this
air
going?
sealing gonna take place in the building? And their quote is so profoundly lower than CET that I'm just worried that it's not gonna do it a good job, that, I mean, I feel like maybe we need to get
Well,
a.
CET sounds like a comprehensive proposal to do air sealing, SEALING.
Yes,
Sealing insulation, CILING.
and they would do the whole building envelope.
And that's what costs money. Air sealing is a caulk gun.
Right.
And spray foam
Right,
around all the cracks in the building to make sure it doesn't leak. It sounds like nothing at all, but
Which
it's
needs to
really
be done
important.
first, which-
It's really important.
well, they're saying envelope air sealing, they were quoting 103,000 to
BET
do
was?
Hawkins. Yeah.
Now, one of
And
the-
I'm not saying necessarily that we should use CET, it's just that AEG has done such a horrible job for us, and Kyle,
In
really-
terms of communication or in terms of doing the work?
they haven't done any work on the schools yet.
Have we hired them to do any work?
Yes, we've been waiting, they were gonna do it last summer.
Oh, wow, it's,
Yeah,
that's,
And,
that's,
and,
that,
and
the
we gave
answer
them
is right
money
there,
to do
Kathy.
that?
No, we don't give them money until they do the work. Whatever, it's been all signs, it said, yes, 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 we hired them, and then he just keeps putting us off.
Well, and you're the one that's in primary contact.
Well, Chris really is
Chris.
the one, he's,
He's the business manager.
and I
Yeah.
kind of keep track of it, and, when checking on him kind of nudges him to go ahead. We are not the only thing that Chris is thinking about,
Right,
it's.
right.
So the big problem I see is CET comes in with a big budget that we don't have money for.
No, we can't afford them, I mean, but. I just
Can we
wonder
just
if
go out
AEG
Can
will-
we just go out and hire a firm that does air sealing? and-
So in the same spirit of Power Source, they've been vetted and they're approved. AEG, CET, they've been vetted, they've been approved.
Right, who else has?
there's a whole,
Yeah.
did I bring the list? We have an Eversource.
Right.
What's the name, AEG?
Yeah.
And it's
Advanced Energy Group. I don't think I brought, we have this, what do they call it? Anyway, it's a vendor list that Eversource puts out saying these people, this is who we recommend, choose from here. Well, AEG's first on the list, and so I've talked to, I don't know if you were at the meeting, but a while back, quite a while ago, we had a Zoom meeting with John Pettypas, he's an Eversource consultant, because we were having problems with AEG. And he didn't say it in the Zoom, but in a phone conversation I had with him, he said, I'm not really supposed to say who's who. He said, I can recommend 5 companies that I've heard really good things about. And so I checked those off on the vendor list and passed it on to Chris. So he's contacted one of them.
Was AEG one of those 5?
No, we already know, we don't wanna use AEG again. I mean, they're just awful. They just aren't getting anything done for us.
So the answer is right there, Kathy. No, stop that, project with them and find another.
Can you go to someone else in the company?
Well, that's what I'm thinking instead of
Like you have
Kyle.
to, right?
Well, that's how,
Who's in charge of Kyle?
supposedly John Pettypas is overseeing all this, but honestly,
Well, if he wasn't one of the 5 that were recommended, then we should
go to some,
Yeah.
I'm
One of the
thinking,
5 that are recommended.
okay, do the air sealing, I guess.
Let's start there.
And then be done with him
Yes.
and get it.
Wait, have
Yeah.
Kyle do the air sealing?
I don't know. Oh, well, Chris has already told him, okay, fine, you're gonna do that on Tuesday. So if they actually do it on
It's school
Tuesday,
vacation week, it's
Okay.
a slightly more convenient time to do
Great.
it, but then.
but right now, we don't even have yet a new proposal on the insulation. So
I can call Jennifer Quinn or Adam Connors, they're the president, vice president, and just like give them a piece of your mind. Cause it sounds like they're just not. Or
who
tell-
is
Yeah,
it?
they do need to know.
Yeah,
You do.
all right,
Yeah.
who is it?
Jennifer Quinn is the owner and president,
Jennifer Quinn,
and the phone number is.
wait a minute,
Okay,
owner. Okay,
413
mm-hmm,
526
yeah,
9955, and the vice president is Adam Connors.
wait a minute. EPM Connors, we have a phone number for him,
No, it's all one phone number.
okay.
So here's one of the other issues related to all this. So we got this designation grant, like $140,000, $135,000. That's great. But we cannot apply for another Green Communities grant until
we
this is
spend
used
the-
up. So this, in some ways, has just slowed us down from our second grant, our third grant, and all of this.
Right. All right, I'm gonna share what you just told me with Chris. And, the thing is, I mean, we could call and complain to the owner and but the thing is, they hired Kyle. Kyle works for them. Kyle is an idiot. I mean, he's obviously not good at his job, so complaining about him, I just don't trust they're gonna do a good job. Why don't we just hire somebody better?
I agree.
Except it sounds like Chris already has a schedule for next week.
Right, for the air sealing, but we could go ahead and just be done with AEG after that.
I
And,
think that's the consensus,
Yeah.
is the feedback, that is a good idea.
okay,
Is this something you need to vote on, or is just a recommendation, or?
we can vote on it, sure. That we recommend to Chris that we cut ties with AEG after the air sealing job and just find somebody better for the installation.
Of the five, company that was
Yeah.
already recommended.
Right.
So do you want to vote on it?
Sure, I mean, I think casually everybody agrees, but sure. All in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
and what a sad tale.
Mhm.
well, what a waste of our time.
Yeah.
Okay, so the committee recommends. What times will they each?
Anything more in the agenda?
There's
One more.
composting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you were gonna send me the flyer and I was gonna sort of go over it,
Mhm.
but I didn't get it from you. You want to send it?
Well, in a way, I would like to, I feel a little disappointed with this because I have that flyer like maybe 3 months ago. And it's like, oh, so we have to have a community to fix a work. Oh, it's like, come on, the world is burning and we are here waiting.
So you just wanna get on with it?
Yeah, please. Like, it's there. I have sent it, like, I sent it to you, I think, like,
How did you send it via email?
email,
Yeah.
I think.
I
Yeah.
don't think we all got it.
Let me look.
And I sent it also to you. So what I mean is like it's like a dragging, the dragging the foot into something so simple of like let's move on. We need to encourage people to compose. It really makes a huge difference environmentally if everybody
Right.
do it. And it already passed 3 months and we haven't not done anything. So I feel like, why do we drag it? Just like get 2 people and send it. It's not perfect, it's not clean, it's not beautiful, it's not everything, but we did the action. So that was only thing that I.
That's not it.
Is your hope that it would go out through Jennifer and through the town hall?
That we say that Jennifer, the schools, put
But how,
flyers
how
and
would
that.
Jennifer send it? By email?
Can you just send it to everybody and say, this is what we're proposing? If
Yeah,
you have any big objections, let us know. If we don't hear from you, we're gonna assume it's approved.
Yeah, that's perfect,
Yeah.
okay.
And
And then we
do
will-
we need select board approval? Aren't we an arm of this?
Yeah,
That we have
do.
to present it to them?
Yeah,
to be able to, I don't know if Jennifer,
usually,
Yeah.
you know, if one
Yeah,
of
you're
us
right.
talks to Jane about it, she just says, sure, go ahead and do it.
No, I think we need to do
I
it the
think,
right way.
Yeah, you'd be wiser to
Okay,
go in front of the select board and, you know, their next meeting is Wednesday and it's probably 2 weeks out.
yeah, so send the copy to all of us.
okay,
And then one of us will go
Is this
to,
yes.
okay,
Yeah, could you send it
I'm
to
gonna,
everybody?
you sent it via text.
Yeah.
I think that might be right.
Oh, yeah.
oh, if you
I think I
could
got
send it by
text.
email, then it would
Okay,
be,
I'm gonna
then I
send
can
it to
print it
everyone.
out.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
So then if we have that result, then we can move.
I'll send it.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay,
So speaking of sort of unfinished business. Do you all agree that I can put on everybody's name as members of this committee and send it on to the legislature?
Yes.
As Kathy's
No,
citizen,
no, we can't.
we can't do it as-
Sign
yeah.
individually, but we cannot sign as a committee. Unless we
Cause it's
get,
a select board, we're
we're
working. for them.
representing,
Okay, so how about just all of our individual names and keep that moving?
So I'll send out this. And then you all can send it
Yes.
Yeah,
to the
you can
state.
add our names, just not as the climate change committee.
right, you have my
Okay.
permission to use my name as
Right.
Kathy Nagella's
But
citizen.
don't put on Hadley Climate Change.
Correct.
Exactly.
Got you. Okay,
Correct.
thanks for
Just
making
as
that clear.
pri-
So
Use each of us as a
5
private
names. Okay,
citizen, yeah,
Yes,
6 names.
you can add
Did
me.
you send it to everybody by email?
I did.
okay, thank you. Okay, good.
Look at that.
Look at that, then I said it.
Okay, so any thoughts about our next agenda?
Do you think there's gonna be more to report on the solar for our next meeting, or you're not sure yet?
Sure, I mean, yeah,
Just put it.
Do you
as an
think you'll
update.
be here,
yeah, if,
Michael?
question mark.
Do you think you're gonna be around for the next one?
I think, when is it?
March,
Probably is it March 10th? I don't know. What's the second Thursday
I
of
think I'll still be here then. I have to go to
I gotta
DC
look at
again,
my
and I'm not
phone.
sure when that is.
So it is March 12th
Let me look. Pretty
is
sure.
our next meeting.
right,
Oops. Yep. That works.
All right, so
Are there any topics for next
Right.
agenda? That I should?
Did you say you had one, the bill? Or,
No, I'll send this,
Okay.
I'll send this between now and then.
okay,
I'll try to do it soon. We're traveling as of early Sunday and out for a few days, but I'll try to send it out. And this is important just to give this bill a push. That's what
Yeah.
we're saying, is to move it along.
Mhm.
Cause it's been years that it's just sitting.
So we don't have any other speakers lined up. Nothing in particular.
Well, you might have more to report on AEG and CET.
Well, right, we'll have our usual updates, but as far as, new business.
There is a person who may sit in with us. Who,
Oh, right,
so Steve Kelly was a longtime teacher in Sturbridge, and he taught environmental science at the high school level. And he may be interested in joining this committee, we'll see.
a question, she was talking about, a kind of a law or a suggestion that, the restaurants cannot give you plastic,
Take out.
container or forks and knife and unless you ask.
Right.
Is that this is
was that part of our plastic?
So requiring customers to request utensils rather than receive them
Okay.
automatically.
Is there a way to do, we and Hadley do that? Like we did with the plastic bag or is it possible to
it was
ask?
an initiative for our
Initiative.
committee.
Yes,
I think that's part of the plastic bag, and it wasn't just,
I think we did
Yeah.
address something about utensils.
yeah.
but this is happening, I don't think it's happening or say, oh, yes,
I don't know.
right, yeah,
We're not enforcement.
yeah.
I mean, one. We kind of talked about this a little bit before is, do we want to take on trying to ban single-use water bottles and. The sale of single-use water bottles and I don't think we'd get anywhere with it.
But it's good noise,
I know, but
it's good noise, like, is people will be aware, like, well, it's not passed, but then I'm not going to use it.
Also, speaking of next time, there's gonna be more about the cleanup day.
right,
Okay.
so it's your
So
turn
that's
to do
big.
the agenda next time.
Man, I can't open that. What you just
The
said,
email,
yeah,
Oh.
the attachment,
Oh, really?
yeah, can you save it as a PDF and then
Let
send
me
it
see
out?
what I can do.
okay.
Oh, right, what kind of
Finish with
document?
Well, and you adjourn the meeting?
No, not yet.
We adjourned the.
What time is it?
8:31.
8:35, okay. So, somebody want to move that we adjourn the meeting?
I moved to adjourn the meeting.
Wow, you were on it, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.